Entrepreneur life requires risk, persistence, and a slightly unreasonable belief that this thing you're building is going to work.
And let's not forget copious amounts of caffeine.
Yes, that too.
Hey guys, I'm Allison, the Caffeinated Entrepreneur, an AI-powered business strategist and systems builder with an energy level that should probably come with a warning label.
And I'm Bernie, the man behind the mustache. I'm a virtual events producer who makes sure the tech works, the delivery is clean, and nobody panics, including Allison.
Each week, we are picking up the conversation where my weekly newsletter leaves off. No teaching, no pretending we have it all figured out.
Just two entrepreneurs talking honestly about the highs and lows of growing our own businesses.
And why some ideas are worth sipping on a little bit longer. Welcome to the Caffeinated Entrepreneur. Let's go behind the brew. Hey guys, grab your favorite caffeinated beverage and join us for today's episode where we're going behind the brew of issue number 51. You can do anything for 30 days, even this. Howdy, Mr. Bernie. How are we doing today?
I'd say fabulous, just slightly shy of fabulous because, not sleeping here. But otherwise, things are fantastic.
Still?
Yeah, still.
Still? I guess for the next, 9 months, you won't be sleeping.
Probably feels like for the rest of our lives, to be honest with you. I don't know if I'm ever going to sleep again.
Listen, my youngest is 10. I get to sleep through the night. No, can I tell you what's really awful? Is that now I am reaching an age where I can't sleep through the night. I'm that old already. It's really upsetting. I don't have babies to wake me up anymore, but I have to tinkle. And so I don't get to make it through the night.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen to me. Like, as soon as they start sleeping through the night, all of a sudden I'm going to have bladder problems and incontinence or something. Like, can't win.
You just trade their bladder problems for your bladder problems. It's a whole thing. It's like the joy of parenthood and growing old. It's okay. Someday they're going to have to take care of you. You just remember that.
Oh, I plan to remind them that I spent a lot of sleepless nights wiping their asses. Don't you worry.
Oh my gosh, 100%. 100%. All right. So I also want to compliment you on, I noticed the hat matches the shirt. And I'm wondering, was that intentional?
Yes.
It's almost like me matching my glasses to my shirt. Like I'm feeling very like I should have worn my purple glasses today and I didn't.
We didn't coordinate today, but
we did not. There should have been a LinkedIn DM prior to this. I'm going to match my hat to my shirt, or you're going to match your glasses to your shirt. Because that's who we are. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. So I am really actually quite excited to talk about what we're talking about today, because this is kind of funny. So just this morning, I was sharing in one of our fellow Success Champion Network chapters. I was doing a 10-minute teach, and I was very out of character. Rather than sharing AI or Notion or a bot or something like usual, they're doing, for their theme for this month, they're doing founder's mindset. And so the education chair asked me if I would share something that I've experienced as a founder of my own business, a mindset shift that I made and the impact it had on my business. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, I just recently was forced by my coach, as I mentioned a few episodes ago, to send 5 DMs every single day for 30 days in the month of April to invite people to actually book calls to talk about working together. And in the end, resulted in a 20K month in April, walking into an 8K month already on the books in May, and then walked into a 12K month on the books already in June. Severe momentum, like can't believe it or whatever. And it was like the grossest, hardest thing I had to do. But I was like, but when I think about it, this newsletter came to mind because this whole newsletter was the 30-day challenge that my business coach forced me to do back in October, where she was like, I want you to post on your Facebook profile about your business every day for 30 days. And lo and behold, people came out of the woodwork asking about my services. And then November, back then, I made 15K that month. And that was at that point my biggest month ever. You know what I mean? And so I was like, dang it, freaking, this is why you pay a coach, right? Because they challenge you in all the things. So I thought, today's the day. Let's talk about flexing the muscles, and it hurts and it aches, but dang, does it have an impact in our business?
Indeed. Well, I think what's interesting is, the 30-day challenge, frame, if you will. It fits very well with changing habits, right? Mentioned in pre-show as an experiential trainer when I got my start, it was actually built around a larger program called the 45-day challenge, which was about changing mindset, changing habits. And one of the things that we learned in there is it typically takes about 21 to 45 days of consistent focused behavior to change a habit. And so that's effectively what you did with that 30-day challenge, right? Was you consistently did something, you created a new habit, you built momentum, you got a result from it. That was what you wanted. And so now that is a habit that you continue doing. 30 to 45 days is also enough time to determine if a habit doesn't work for you. You have enough data in
Oh,
that time to make a decision and say, nope, this doesn't work for me. So it fits that window really, really well. And I would encourage anybody, if you are looking to make a change, commit to it for at least 30 to 45 days and then determine whether it makes sense or not.
yeah. So now I've just shared the two yucky things that I had to do for 30 days. Have you ever done anything for 30 days straight that you were like, this sucks? And it doesn't have to be business related. I mean, it could be personal, like,
On the personal side, I've definitely done, I guess that would call them challenges or sprints as it relates to health, right? Like I've done exercise sprints and did it over 30,
yeah.
30, 45 days to get a certain result. And then I was consistent with it for a long period of time. And then something changed and I stopped doing it, put on 30 pounds, but that's, another story.
Yes.
Um, but in business, I mentioned the 45-day challenge. When I was administering and facilitating that program, I also went through the program, right, so that I could experience it with the participants. And because it was a leadership program and I didn't have anyone who actually reported to me, it was a little bit of a different challenge for me. So it was really about
Mhm.
how did I communicate and influence my team members, because that was who I most interacted with, was the other
Yeah.
people on the leadership team. And it was really uncomfortable because I was not in a position of authority over those people. Like I couldn't really tell them to go and do something. So it was all about how did I influence them? How did I get them to want to
Yeah.
do the thing? How did I communicate it in a way that it made sense for me and for them? Um, and in the long run, I had a lot more respect from my team. I had better relationships with them because I communicated with them more often and better. And we had clear expectations of what the relationship was between us that probably wouldn't have happened had I not gone through that regular activity of reaching out to them saying, hey, this is what I need. This is what we're doing. This is where you can help. I would say that's probably the best example of a 30-day, 45-day, in this case, challenge that I did that mimics what we're
Yeah.
talking.
And what unexpected results. I think so I just think it's really funny because when it comes to health stuff, we do those challenges, sprints, whatever, because we are setting our mind on a goal of a result that we absolutely want to get. And so we're like, well, I did it for 30 days and it didn't work.
Mhm.
And now I'm really bummed about it.
Right.
What I think is really cool, kind of like what you were just sharing, but also about the two experiences I had, I wasn't trying to become a different person in 30 days. I wasn't trying to even necessarily get a result in 30 days. I was just thinking 30 days, Allison, you can
Do
do
this.
this horribly sucky, uncomfortable thing every day. You could do it, anything for 30 days.
Mhm.
And I really wasn't focused on the results. I was focused on the action I was taking. And by doing that, and we all think about getting the reps in with your muscles, right? It's like it aches and it's miserable, but you get a little bit stronger every day and a little bit, even if you feel weaker because the muscle's breaking down, right? And I think I noticed that because you know that in 30 days of content, it wasn't all good. There were definitely days I was like, check the box, baby. I put something out there. I hope nobody sees it. I hope the algorithm
No
tanks this
likes.
one.
No likes today.
Please, mom, don't comment this and boost the algorithm. Right? Like my biggest supporter, right? She comments on everything. Um, but then even with the DMs, I mean, you can imagine, and I literally, as I was sharing, I screenshotted my stats and I shared them with the group today because I was like, I'm just gonna be fully transparent and vulnerable. And I was like, man, I also counted the no's. Like I tracked the number of conversations, I tracked the number of calls booked, the number of offers made, because not every call, results in me making an offer. But then I tracked the number of no's I got. And part of me was like, oh, this one's gonna suck. I don't like this. And of course, at the beginning of the month, I got a lot more no's. But then it's like, because I tracked it week by week, I'm like, oh, look at that. By the end of the month, I was getting a lot less no's. And one could argue that it's statistically, well, you got all those people out of the way at the beginning, whatever. But I think it's because I got better at what I was doing. The messages I was sending were getting better. The conversations I was having were getting better. I was more confident talking about my business, my offer, my solution, because I had put the reps in all month long. So by the time week 4, and it was a 5-week month, by the time week 4 and 5 came around, I was like, bing, bing, bing. I was just cranking it. And people, one woman, bless her heart, she actually ended up putting down a deposit to have her VIP day a couple months later. And it was funny because she's like, man, you're really good at sales. And I laughed and I was like, I wasn't even trying to sell you. Like, I was just sharing. And she's like, I know. And it was so good. And I just thought it was so funny because she was one of the last conversations I had. And I just kind of was tickled by that because I'm always like, oh, I suck at sales.
Right.
But by the end of the month, I was pretty dang good at it.
Well,
Just
it
saying.
is interesting too, though, when you think about perspective. I don't mean to change the subject too much, but like I have literally shared with some folks that I don't feel I'm great at sales, and they came back to me and they were like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You're amazing at sales. You are so passionate about the thing that you talk about. Like it solves so you know all the problems. Like you're really good at this." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, I don't believe you, but
You're right.
okay."
Right. Well, because you're passionate about the
Right.
thing that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
You're not selling it.
Right.
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 And we actually, so friends, we're recording episode 14 today. Episode 12 just went out today. And the clip from that is literally Bernie talking about not selling people.
Right.
So you have to go watch the clip from episode 12.
Let me back up and answer your earlier question. So I was not expecting any result from that 45-day challenge. Actually, very similar to you. I just wanted to get through it because I had to. I wasn't a leader at the time. So going through a 45-day leadership challenge didn't make any friggin' sense for me. Nobody reported to me. But the unexpected result was, you may not know this, you know this. I am a closet introvert. I don't really like socializing with people out in the open a whole lot. So it was really
I'm so glad I get to force you to do that
yeah,
more. That is,
I mean, I can get on stage and I can put on the show pretty well, but it is not necessarily comfortable for me in those type of situations. The unexpected outcome was the deepening of those relationships. I still talk to the team members from 20 years ago that were part of that
Mhm.
team with me because of that result.
Yeah. Which kind of leads into where I'm heading next, but not because it's different, but it
But it's
is because that's the
still
way it
kind of the
works, right?
same.
Still kind of same difference, This is my mother always says 6 and 1/2 dozen another.
Mm.
And you're like, what does that even mean? But okay. But 6 and 1/2 dozen of another. Um, the idea of doing something for 30 days or 45 days, it builds momentum
Right.
that then propels you forward. So in your case specifically, it built relationships that continued for a long time. In taking actions inside of our business, you can't imagine the momentum that you're building at the time that you're building it. You can't see the forest for all the trees, right? You have to back out. If I had the expectation, and I'm sure my coach had it, but I didn't have it. If she had been like, Allison, if you would just do this, I promise you, all the momentum you were going to build. And in some ways, I saw the momentum when I did the October challenge, but then we were going into the holidays. I had a banger November month, but then we went into the holidays and I took 6 weeks. I basically did nothing for 6 weeks. And all that momentum I created
Yep.
dropped. January and February sucked for my business, right? And then in March, I was in tears. And she was like, pick yourself up off the floor and let's build some momentum again. And I did it. And now I'm like, oh, I'm not letting this go. Like, I learned my lesson. Momentum is building and building and building. And so now, I haven't, and you're going to be so proud of me because I'm a goal setter and then I move that goalpost before I move, right? My goal, friends, is to make 10K months for 6 months consistently. Because then I can pay my family, I can pay my bills, and I can put money aside for profit and taxes. I'm profit first, baby, right? All the things. And there was a time where 10K was the ultimate goal that I couldn't imagine ever hitting. And now I'm like, it's not like it's the baseline, but it's the consistency. I want the consistency of that. And if I go over, great. And if I don't, But the beauty of the momentum that I've built now is like, I only need one sale a month. I only need one sign up. But now because I flex the muscle so much, I'm like, please, getting one person to sign up, that's so easy.
Right.
Like, that's not even
Right.
hard. Challenge me,
Yeah.
right? So I'm kind of almost setting a goal that I know I can hit, which I never do.
Mhm.
Usually I set goals that I don't think I can hit to stretch me, but then I'm always disappointed that I didn't
Didn't hit
hit
it.
my
Yeah.
goal. And so now I'm like, no, just it's not coasting. I'm still doing the work, but I'm using the momentum to actually like, propel the ship rather than constantly revving the
Right.
engine.
Well, I think another thing that we don't really think about is when you go through a challenge like this. Yes, it creates new habits. It allows you to normalize certain activities, but the real, I guess, win is in the perspective shift that you have after accomplishing it. Right? Like you just made the point. 6 months, a year ago, you $10,000, like that's the clouds, and now you're
Yeah,
looking at it
yeah.
and you're like, that is effing doable. I can do that consistently and
Mhm.
regularly. But you wouldn't have made that mental transition had you not gone through the activity of building that momentum, of doing the reps, of getting all of the no's.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. It's just one of those you do it for 30 days. Okay, so Bernie, now I already know what I'm going to do for 30 days. I've got my next, and this is not my coach for once. It's not my coach telling me I have to do it. But, and I shared this with you, everyone knows I love to do video. And there was a time where I was constantly posting video demos. I was doing my hot take Tuesdays, and I've gotten away from it because I've been busy. You know what I mean? I've been growing my business, but I love it. So I am going to challenge myself over the summer to do a little summer series. And okay, you're going to love this. I'm going to call it Coffee Grinds because it's going to be the little sprinkles, right? It's the little sprinkles. So we have the caffeinated entrepreneur, but now it's going to be coffee grinds, which are just going to be me riffing for 60 seconds, 90 seconds. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'm not going to put any expectations on the content.
Mhm.
I'm not even necessarily going to come up. I'm not planning the content ahead of time. Like, I want to talk about these topics. No, whatever the heck happened today, I'm just going to talk about it
Show up,
and
turn on the
I'm
camera, talk for
just
60 seconds.
exactly. Cause why
Why
not?
not?
Because I think, and we constantly are talking about this in the times of AI, you got to be more authentic. If one more person drops into my DMs or my email telling me they can teach me how to make AI video content of myself, I'm going to smack somebody. So I want to be the antithesis of that. And I'm so sick and tired of everyone whining and complaining about how boring LinkedIn content is. They're not wrong, but I'm like, but not my content, friend. My content, I want you to like, I want to see her content. So that's, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to give myself, I'm not diving in today, but somewhere in there, I'm going to do my 30 days of content. But I'm now going to challenge you. 30 days, Bernie. What are you going to do for 30 days?
Well, when my daughter was born 2 months ago, and even until now, I had a lot less time to
Right.
focus on conversations and business development. Obviously, I do a ton of events. I have lacked in my follow up for said events for the last 2 months as a result. So I'm going to challenge myself over the next 30 days to DM at least 3 people per day that attended one of my events to invite them into a conversation. Not necessarily a sales conversation, but into a conversation in and around virtual events. And if it leads to a sale, awesome. But if not, I think
Great.
that I will have some really interesting conversations because everybody who comes to my events, they want to learn how to do virtual events. And that's stuff I love talking about all day. So I know I
Yeah.
can commit
Well,
to doing that.
I was going to say it's something you're passionate about. It's easy. It's not hard. And the cool thing is, because this is what happened to me, is you start talking to people and then you're top of mind. And then immediately someone else, it'll trigger and they'll be like, oh gosh, there's this guy, Bernie. And so that's the beauty of
Yep.
networking. Right. So
Yep. I
got
mean,
it. I love
the
it.
more that you put yourself out there, the more visible you get, the more exposure you have, the more people will think of you. I had a conversation yesterday, a virtual coffee with a guy that I did an event with a couple months back. We did a collaborative event. And he was like, over the last 3 weeks, you have come up in 4 different conversations. And I haven't talked to you since the event. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm everywhere.
Like, when I tell you it's really funny, there's actually, I'm not going to say the name of the group, but I thought it was really, really cute because I met with somebody who was in the group. I taught in their group twice. I've converted 4 people in that group as clients. So they talk about me a lot. Well, they had somebody apply to be in their group who does AI. And the conversation that the members had kind of behind the scenes was like, you think she could be our Allison? No, someone else was like, nobody could be Allison, but maybe. But it was so cute. I was like, I just love that I've become a standard
Mhm.
in the group as like, maybe she could be an Allison. I thought that was super cute. So, but it's because I'm in their face all the
Right.
time. I'm talking,
Right.
having conversations.
Absolutely. That's right.
I think it's fantastic. All right. So now here comes the accountability part. Like, again, I'm going to post every day and it'll be really easy for anybody who listens to this episode to check if I'm doing it. How are we going to know that you're doing it?
You won't. You won't.
I will, Bernie.
I will create a spreadsheet and I will put the individual's name on there. And if you were so inclined, you can reach out to that individual and ask.
You know I
Are you
could, and I probably would. I'll just spot check you. Be like, don't mind me. I'm just Bernie's not bossy, but aggressively helpful friend, making sure that he's sticking to his challenge. You don't need to tell me what you talked about.
Did he
Just
send
tell me
you a
that he talked to me.
message or not?
And if he didn't, expect one because I'm going to go
So I'm
slap
gonna
him
go
now.
slap the shit out of
Well, and I would say that for me, for sure, but I think this is true of anybody, the accountability piece to any of these challenges is ultimately what makes them possible. To this day, still, my coach, one of the things that she made me do in April, but now it's just part of our weekly cadence, I have to screenshot my tracker.
him.
And, it's not as strong now as it was in April because I'm not being as intentional. But so I think that if, anybody listening is like, oh, I want to do this kind of thing, get somebody to hold you accountable. Do an exchange.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's unfortunate, but true. I think most people are more willing to let themselves down than they are someone
Mhm.
else. If
Yeah,
if you have someone else that you need to report to, you are more likely to do the thing. Whereas if it's just you, like I will let myself down and be okay with it. I would not let you down, Allison.
right.
Right?
Well, and I will say this too. It also depends on who you ask because, like, if you pick somebody, and I say this years and years and years ago, I wanted to commit to memorizing an entire book of the Bible. And I remember going to my good friend and being like, you're going to hold me accountable to this. You're going to double check that. And she's like, no, I'm not.
Mhm.
It's just not in me to do it. It's not my personality. And you know what? I didn't memorize anything. She wasn't the right person to hold me accountable because number one, she wasn't motivated at that time to do the same thing I was doing, right? But number two, it's just wasn't in her personality to do that. It's my nature to hold people accountable. So I think that that's the other piece of it. It's not just get anybody to hold you accountable. It's to get somebody who's going to get in your face, not because they're jerks, but because they want to see you grow. They want to see you build better habits. They want to see the momentum. And they want you to have an impact on your own life, whether it's personally, professionally, or whatever.
Well, I think that there's also that they want to see your success. You know, the kind of
Yeah.
the antithesis of that is, and I experience this a lot in corporate, leadership. You can't want success for someone more than they want it for themselves. It just doesn't work, right? So you need to have someone who is matching you at that level. Like they want your success equally as much as you want your own success, accountability partner. But if it's the other way around on either side, it may not work as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I distinctly remember very briefly in my early ons as my online business management company was just sort of getting off the ground. One of my offers was like literally accountability partner. And I had a woman hire me and then hated me almost instantly. And I was like, you paid me to follow up with you. Why are you getting nasty with me for following up with you? Like it was, I'll never forget. We got on our third call and she's like, I don't even know why we're on this call. And I was like, cause you paid for it. We could hang up. Like, see ya, sweetheart. Like you already paid me the money. I don't care. Oh my gosh. So I didn't offer that to, that was the one person that got that little offer, took that
And
right
that's a
off.
wrap.
That was it for that. Well, and that also came back to eventually when I started doing online business management for people, one of the frustrations that I found, and I've shared this many times, but I created little monsters. They were so used to me holding them accountable that they became useless without me.
Mhm.
Like they could not do anything unless I put it on their Trello board with a due date and tagged them in it and then followed up to make sure that they checked it off. And
Mhm.
I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, that is again one of those situations where you actually wanted their success more than they did.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Or it's they wanted success, they just didn't want to do the work for
Right.
success. In their minds, they hired Allison to do the work to get their
Yep.
success. It was another highly motivating reason to get out of that
Right.
business.
Right.
So I kind of like this like coach trainer situation because I'm like, listen, I'll give you the skills, I'll teach you how to use them, but in the end, it's on you, friend. You got to do it.
I'll be honest with you. I like the Miyagi role. Like I like being Mr. Miyagi. I like giving people the activity. Go wash the car, go paint the fence, do the thing, and then when they come back and they're like, I did the thing, and then they show me what it actually means. Like now you get it. Yes, Daniel's
Yeah,
son.
well done, Daniel-san. Fantastic. I love it. All right. So let's go ahead and land this plane today. You wanna take a swing at it?
Well, I think the takeaway is that you don't need to be dramatic, right? It doesn't have to be a complete reinvention. It could be just choosing one thing that you want to work on that's maybe a little bit uncomfortable for you. Hopefully that generates some revenue or leads to revenue. But
Yeah.
then you have to commit to it, right, for long enough to build the habit and let the results go while you focus on the repetitions, right? Because the numbers and the money follow. They don't lead. They happen as a result
Yeah.
of doing the right things. So the magic isn't necessarily in the strategy, it's in getting past the awkward stuff long enough to build up that momentum that we talked about. Um, and again, if we're making it real, you have a 30-day challenge. I have a 30-day challenge. So for you, our listeners, if you want to engage in the 30-day challenge, choose it and share it with us, and we will, as much as possible and lovingly, hold you accountable to it.
Love it. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Remember, keep showing up, keep taking the next step because the caffeine is strong.
And so are you.